Alright, so welcome everybody to the reading of Do I Look Amused, my most recent book. It is a sweet romantic comedy. It's the first one I've written that's a contemporary romantic comedy. And it's called Sweet because it's a sweet story that's nice and clean. So the book stars a young lady named Claire Hensley, and she is the heiress to a family-owned amusement park in South Carolina. It's on the coast near Hilton Head, and the island is called Pony Island. So it's kind of like Coney Island, but with ponies. So the other star of the book is her childhood friend. And so you see Claire here on the cover and her friend Ryan, who he was her childhood friend. Now he would be her enemy. And you'll find out more about that in a minute. And he's also her former crush. So his name is Ryan Lanier, and he returns to town from living in Nashville for his father's funeral, only to discover that he is now the heir to the other half of Pony Island Amusement Park. So he gets quite a surprise when he comes home. So opened in 1949, the Pony Island Amusement Park has seen better days. Poor attendance and low income has led to ride closures and maintenance issues. And so to Ryan, who's a real estate agent, it's clear. Sell the park and give the workers a chance to find new jobs before all the money runs out. But Claire, she loves her park. She's very nostalgic about her park and her family, her grandmother especially. So she refuses to consider doing anything other than trying to save the park unless they just can't save the park. So if you add in a crazy peacock, which I bought our friend Ronaldo here, our peacock, and a feisty cook named Miss Hattie, and an enchanting seaside setting, you have the recipe for an adorable second chance romance. So I've really enjoyed writing this one. So it was actually inspired by a conversation I had with my friend about the Opryland Hotel or Opryland Park closure back when I was in elementary school, and how it would have been neat if it had stayed open. So all of this stemmed from a simple conversation with a friend. So we'll get started here. So I'm going to be reading two different scenes. The first scene is the very first scene in the book, which features our good friend here, Ronaldo, and all of the crazy things that he gets up to. And then the second scene is a scene between Claire and Ryan that shows just how much Claire hates Ryan right now. So I think these are both very fun scenes to read and to listen to, because it just shows how crazy some of these characters are. If I think of anything during the reading, I will tell you at the end, and so I don't want to break up the reading. Alright, so everyone ready? Alright, so the book is set in early June on Pony Island in South Carolina. So, Ronaldo, get out of the women's restroom! The flurry of feathers and talons. Wait, do peacocks have talons? Ouch! Claire Hensley gasped as what could only be a talon sliced the shoulder of her favorite crepe blouse, grazing her skin. You little snot! Squawk! Reynaldo's beady black eyes showed no remorse as he spread his tail feathers, hitting Claire in the face with eau de peacock. The acrid whiff of bird poop and, well, bird, almost made her lose her lunch. Are you all right in there, Claire? Called Kendra Lanier, her best friend and the Pony Island Amusement Park's amazing secretary. The girl had the energy of a Boykin Spaniel, along with the stake dog's sweet demeanor, something Claire couldn't claim at the moment. Should I call security? No, Claire replied, feeling a mental jab. They'd already cut crew wages by 10%. Chasing vain peacocks was off the officers' list of charitable contributions to a dying employer. We'll figure this out. The seahorse popped his head in, the huge fuzzy white body clad in a metallic shell bikini and mermaid tail, blocking all the natural light. Reynaldo shook his plumage like a rattler. Miss Claire, do you think he'd follow my shiny tail? We can try it, Jacob. The teen boy's voice coming out of the park's mascot always made her smile. Give us a good swish. Spinning around, Jacob jerked the mermaid tail back and forth, reminding Claire more of a fish out of water than a graceful kelpie. Reynaldo was not impressed, backing farther into the restroom. There's another restroom by the Ferris wheel, Claire heard Kendra say. No, this doesn't happen all that often. The South Carolina sun caught a scale on the seahorse's tail, blinding Claire. Reynaldo chose that moment to back into her, the brownish feathers on the reverse side of his admittedly impressive tail brushing her nose. Yuck! I love you, buddy, but you stink. I don't see how your harem stands you. Squawk, squawk. You don't smell all that great yourself, human. Claire squeezed out from behind the bird. Stop, Jacob. It's not working. We need a new plan. Maybe if we herd over one of the peahens, Kendra called, her espresso curls backdropped by the gorgeous afternoon. But Claire wouldn't give to be out there, smelling the salty sea air rather than Sir Stinky. Or I could grab some of his feed. Claire checked her watch. Reynaldo's head jerked toward her. Was he fixing to attack? She splayed her hands in an attempt to placate. Boredom replaced his curious tilt. On a hunch, she displayed her vintage-style timepiece. The peacock perked up. You like my watch, do you? She asked, unhooking it from her wrist. Tick-tocking her body in time with the swinging watch, she backed toward the entrance. Come on, little buddy, come on out of there. Squawk. If I obey, will you give it to me? Not on your life, she muttered. Reynaldo shook his tail in defiance before the swinging pendulum spell again subjected him. Follow the sound of my voice. You want to be outside, where everyone can admire you, don't you? The peacock stepped forward. Claire took a step back, then another. You're such a handsome boy, aren't you? She crooned, stroking his ego. He nodded, taking 2 steps this time. The handsomest peacock on the island. No, all of South Carolina. Reynaldo froze, challenge in his hard glare. In all the world, she added, rolling her eyes. This met his approval. A few seconds later, he was out. The small audience of crew and guests cheered. A woman with a squirming toddler scurried through, not bothering to watch her steps. Ew. Kendra threw her arm around Claire's shoulders. I'm going to call you the Peacock Whisperer from now on. Then she gagged. Oh, gross. You smell like Reynaldo. I know, Claire replied, catching her friend by the waist so she couldn't escape the stench. Want to help me clean up? There's poop everywhere. Kendra peeled herself away. No, I'm good. Suit yourself. Miss Claire, is my shift over? Jacob asked, the seahorse's head sagging. This suit is murder in the sun. Go ahead, Jacob, she replied, noting the stain on the mermaid tail. Add that to my list. I think we've all had enough for one day. Okay, now we're moving into the scene with Claire and Ryan. My position hasn't changed, Claire declared upon arrival. Her storm cloud turned into pure sunshine as she addressed the waitress. Allie, how are you doing? Is the summer quarter still a bear? It sure is, the college-age girl replied. What can I get y'all? Playing the gentleman, Ryan deferred to Claire. I'll have a sweet tea and crab salad. Ryan opted for a shrimp po' boy and fries. Claire gave Allie's arm a squeeze before returning stiffly to him. Piper's restaurant, rebuilt after a hurricane in the early 1970s, resembled a wood-sided beach house painted in a vibrant aqua, now peeling, with doors for windows and tall teal shutters. Worn white rocking chairs beckoned from the wraparound porch, tempting visitors with a peaceful respite from the heat of the day. The dining room was open to allow the breeze to blow through, aided by huge woven fans hanging from the 15-foot ceilings. The decor was unchanged, faded prints of palm leaves and pink hibiscus paired with woven woods and bamboo. It was a dated look that either endeared visitors or turned them off, in Ryan's opinion. Over 70 years old, the surrounding tropical garden was lush and green, brimming with saw palmettos, mandavillas, birds of paradise, and the occasional Japanese lantern. Their table on the fringe of the outdoor dining area, with a view of the Atlantic surf framed by sable palmettos, was more of a date spot than a battlefield. "I'm not the bad guy here," he said. "I want what's best for the park." "And how in blue blazes would you know what that is?" she hissed, casing the clientele and finding them isolated. "How many times have you been back? 3? 4? That's not fair, Claire. I have a job in Nashville. Responsibilities. I can't run home whenever I feel like it." "People make time for what's most important, Ryan," she replied. Allie brought their drinks, while her true comment hung in the air. He debated various responses, but settled, for some reason, on, "You missed me." Her plump red lips formed an O, and he leaned forward. "That's what I'm hearing, anyway." When Claire crossed her tanned arms over the front of her lemon-yellow sundress, he noticed a faint rosiness on her neck. She broke eye contact to fiddle with the sunglasses, holding back her light blonde hair. Her nails were still red. Red nail polish, red lipstick. Why red? What am I missing here? "Not at all. Why would I?" Her harsh tone shot him down to earth. "No reason. Let's stick to business, huh?" "Fine." He was used to pushing for quick sales and calling the shots. His tried and true method involved laying out his strongest case and negotiating the details. "Fine. Here's why I believe selling the park is the best option. 1. We're barely making a profit. 2. The rides need a very expensive overhaul. 3. "I know all of this," Claire replied. When their food promptly arrived, she didn't touch hers. Ryan bit into a fry as encouragement. Maybe if he could get her to relax and eat, she would be more willing to listen. "Let me make my position abundantly clear. I refuse, do you hear me, Ryan? I refuse to sell until we've exhausted all other avenues. Period." "Then you acknowledge the possibility?" "I acknowledge nothing, and until that time comes, I'm not going to discuss it." "You're bailing water out of a sinking ship." He shoved a fry into the house dip. As flavor exploded in his mouth, he held back a groan. He'd forgotten how amazing Coney Island fry sauce was. "A sinking ship?" she shrieked, scaring off a seagull poaching 2 tables away. "There are other options we haven't even discussed. What about the PIC's offer to match funds? Isn't that worth a try?" Worth a try, huh? That's what he told himself before his graduation party, and look how that turned out. Old feelings bubbled to the surface in the silence. Claire picked at her food while his memories ran wild. Young Ryan finally worked up the nerve. He was going to ask Claire out during his party. He slipped her a note asking her to meet him in front of the Widow's Walk at 9. At 8:36, one of her friends pulled him aside. "Claire's madly in love with Kyle Merritt. She wants you to tell him." "I'm not telling him anything," Ryan retorted, his adolescent heart breaking. "She can tell him herself." "But she doesn't know if he likes her." Ryan knew for a fact he and Kyle harbored crushes on the same girl, although it was never discussed. But Claire crushing on Kyle? That didn't make any sense. Ryan was pretty confident she liked him, at least more than his friend. But Lauren was her friend, so she must be telling the truth. "Yeah, he likes her," he replied, sagging. "A lot." Lauren's smile grew wider than the sound separating them from the mainland, and she rested her glittery nails on his chest. "Thanks, Ryan. See you later?" While he managed to avoid Lauren for the rest of the night, he would never forget the sight, a quarter of an hour later, of Claire laughing with Kyle by the refreshment table. If she made their rendezvous, he didn't know. He spent the rest of the night getting beat in Gran Turismo and left for college without seeing her. Ryan regretted every moment of that decision, but he never worked up the nerve to call her. Why? For two simple reasons. Teenage boys don't take rejection well, and neither do they enjoy talking on the phone. Yeah, he could have texted. It was a thing, the multi-tap method and all, but what would he have said? Ryan, hey, I ditched you because Lauren said you like Kyle. Sorry. That would have gone over well. Even in plain speech, it would have been mortifying. Once upon a time, Ryan and Claire were fairly close. Never best friends, but growing up together brought its own bond. From diapers until graduation, their days intertwined until he couldn't imagine a life without her. Back then, with her sleek ponytail, jean shorts, and colorful t-shirt, she was the prettiest girl he knew. Feisty, too. When Claire had an idea, it was bound to be fun. Ryan, on the other hand, was the one keeping the group from running off a cliff like lemmings. Even back then, he knew they balanced each other, and he'd let his teenage fantasies run rampant. He peeked over his sandwich at the grown woman across from him, all shined and polished, and pushed those memories back in a drawer. His stubbornness killed their friendship, and the fact remained that he never tried to revive it. No wonder she was the ice queen. I asked, Claire repeated, stabbing a hunk of crab with her fork, why you won't consider trying to save the money first. We'll be afloat for the rest of the season. This winter, while the park's closed, we can brainstorm. I won't be here this winter, he replied. I live in Nashville, remember? What does that matter? You don't have to be here. The rest of us can handle it. Like you've been handling it without me? The blue of her eyes raged like a stormy sea. Why, you. Come on, Claire. We might not be in this mess if... Ice-cold sweet tea streamed from his hair over his face and ears, shocking his system. His indignation fizzled upon the sight of the fire goddess before him. You arrogant, egotistical, unfeeling jerk. We were doing fine without you butting your nose in where it wasn't wanted. The sooner you leave, the better. She stalked to the edge of the patio, spinning for one last parting shot. Dumb Spiro Sparrow, Ryan Lanier. Dumb Spiro Sparrow. The Latin needed no translation. It was drilled into them by their middle school history teacher, Mr. Knight. Dumb Spiro Sparrow was South Carolina's state motto, meaning, while I breathe, I hope. Claire Hensley wasn't going down without a fight. As the tea congealed in the heat, leaving him a sticky mess, he began to consider, for the first time, that he might be waging a losing battle. Was there any possible way to get through to her before he had to return to Nashville? All right, so if you want to find out if they save the park and reconcile their differences, you'll have to finish reading the book. And I don't think there was anything. There are a lot of water and seaside references and things in this book, so I hope you catch all of those. And I also wanted to mention that Piper's Restaurant is, in the book, is named after the Sandpiper. In reality, it's actually named after a dog I had in middle school and high school. So had to put, so sometimes I put my dogs and animals' names in my books, so that's one of them. All right, does anyone have any questions?
You explained why the amusement park, but why the seaside coastal Carolina state?
Well, my mom and I visited Hilton Head twice, I believe, when I was growing up, and I just really loved the setting, and it seemed like the perfect place for a family-owned amusement park. So, and how could you not fall in love at a beautiful beachside setting? So.
And why Ronaldo?
And why Ronaldo? Well, at the Chattanooga Zoo, they have a bunch of crazy peacocks that were very entertaining when we visited, and so I thought that a peacock would be the perfect addition, and the name Ronaldo just sounded perfect for a peacock because it sounds very flamboyant and ridiculous, as our dear friend Ronaldo is very flamboyant and vain and ridiculous. So that's how he came to be. So, any more questions? Oh, her clothes, yes. Claire, as I am today, Claire dresses in 1940s vintage clothes and vintage style clothes and does her hair and all those kind of things. And it's something that I talk about in the book that she enjoys doing. And my husband today is wearing his fedora.
That's not coming.
Yes, you should come before the camera. He's wearing his fedora in honor of Ryan. So, are there any more questions? Well, my daughter says no, so.